In preparation for the Chapter 9 lab, I would like to run through the capitalize.java code to look at the file input-output code. Then we'll get started on the lab itself. In particular, I'd like to look at the public static void process file, which takes an input file name and an output file name. It's also keeping track of the number of total words that were read. We're going to give you the file input-output code for this class because it's always the same, and but it'll be interesting to go through it to see what it actually does. So when I'm reading in from a file or writing out from a file, there's some additional classes that I use in Java to do that, and we're using the print writer and the file reader to do that. So the benefit of using this particular file reader is that I can then attach a scanner to it, just like I've been attaching a scanner to the standard input. So we've been familiar with something that looks more like scanner scan equals new scanner, and then in the parentheses we put system.in. But in this case, instead of reading from the standard input, like the user typing things on the console, I would like to read in from a data file. And so what I'm doing here is I'm creating a file stream that will allow me to attach a scanner to it. So I need the input file name to do that, and that's what I'm doing on this line. I'm also going to do something pretty similar and in terms of output, so I've opened a output file for writing. Now I have a loop, and so it's because we haven't been reading from a data file before, we usually don't have a loop like this. What is this doing? Well, it turns out that just like we've used hasNext or hasNextInt before to handle errors in the scanner, so we can also use this in the context of a loop by saying, while I still have more things to read from the file, actually read them. That's all this while loop is doing. I then use next line to read one line. I convert it completely to uppercase letters, and then I use the file writer to print it out. So the reason why we're using print writer here is because you can use printf, same as the printf that you've been using to the console. So it's a nice way to continue the kind of coding that we've been doing, but just reading from files with the scanner attached to a file, and writing using printf attached to a file writer. Finally, when we're done doing this for every single line in the file, we close up both of the files, and that is about it. This catch IO exception and this try are things that we haven't actually talked about before, but it turns out that if there's something that goes wrong during the file reading or writing on disk, that Java will throw something called an exception. It's called throwing an exception, like tossing something out of your method. Kind of like you throw your hands up in the air if if something's wrong, you might wave at somebody. This is sort of the same thing. So Java waves at us, and we can, throws the hands up in the air. We can catch that and print out the error message if we get it. It always has this syntax, and this is about the only place you'll see it this semester is surrounding file input output. So this is a brief overview. The important things to notice are that you're still using a scanner, and the scanner still has all the same methods that it had before. It has like next int, next double, it has next, it has next line, that kind of thing. And the file writer has printf, and it's the same formatting strings that you're used to.